Yeah. Exists. In the pen? Okay.
Good evening all. Can you hear us?
Hello. Hello. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening, sir.
Everyone can hear?
Yeah, now I can hear you. Earlier it was not audible. Yeah. Now it's clear.
Here also. So all the slides are here only? Maybe. Okay, this is the day one slides. Where is the like in case if I have to continue for the okay, so just day one. Okay. Which screen is this button? Full screen. Yeah, full screens.
Hello, sir. The
Hello?
sound is not clear.
Hello?
Yes, hello.
Yeah, you can hear? It's clear?
Yes, now it's good now.
Yeah, yeah. We have not started yet. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Thank you. So, who's the other guy? He's not there? The other guy? He's not there. So, everyone is ready? We can start? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, ready.
So, let's start. So, we are going to learn about the contract management based on FIDIC 1999. We'll learn about starting from the basic and all the terminologies which are used. Okay. So, as you know, project management is to manage the smooth functioning of the project, coordinating various stakeholders of the project and government department, government authorities. The stakeholders, as you know, in project management can be multiple stakeholders, internal as well as external. Internal as in the people working in your organization, and the external like the government department or some other vendors or anyone. Construction management is to manage the smooth functioning of construction activities and coordinating with various contractors. Contract management is to manage the smooth functioning of contract between the parties and the stakeholders. So it's all the tasks you do, starting from defining the objectives, planning, execution, and involving all the players who can manage or affect the contract management. So this is how our workshop is going to be covering. First, we'll understand the contract management. What is contract? Why contract is essential? Various types of agreements. What is the contract management? Why FIDIC? Then we will go into the actual process, pre-tendering process and procedures. what should be the project approach, budget, cost plans, consultant appointments, approach to tender and tender process, recommendation, award, unsuccessful notifications. Then we will proceed, we will go further to post-tendering procedures like claim and dispute manola, legal documentation, setting up process and procedures, contract formation, certification, change control, variation procedures, taking over, defect liability, contract closeout, discharge, maintenance or performance certificate, and then the government claim rejected, unaccepted, adjudication board, amicable settlement, arbitration, and litigation. So all the topics we are going to cover in this workshop. So let's start with understanding the contract management. A contract may be defined as an agreement, generally written or maybe oral, between two or more parties, enforceable by law, whereby the parties to the contract promise to do or refrain from doing some specified acts or acts which must be legal purpose. So normally one party is framed as seller who provides service or supply the goods, and the other party is the buyer in exchange of an consideration. See, normally the difference between an agreement and a contract is agreement is something which is agreed upon, but a contract is something which is legally enforceable. An agreement, you cannot enforce it in a legal way. So that is the difference between a contract and an agreement. Contracts are administered with the contract law, which is based on common law, civil law, which are different from constitutional law, statutory law, and regulatory law. We'll talk about these laws. See, now, as I told you, the contract laws are completely different from these laws, the constitutional law, statutory law, and regulatory law. These laws are framed by the government. As you can see, the constitutional law, this can be right to education, right to speech, right to freedom. These are the constitutional law. Then the statutory law is something, which is written and enforced by the law agency like police or military. It can be like the red light signal law, or it can be law related to marriages above 18 years. So these are statutory law. Then we have the regulatory law. Regulatory law is like a regulation, if it may be regulation related to imports, where the government may put a regulation on allowing to import certain goods, but not allowing to import certain goods. Or it can be related to some construction thing like safety rules of the government. So this regulatory law has to be comply with. So essentials of valid contract. So in order to have a contract, it's a common logic that there should be two or more parties. They should have some objective to enter into a contract. Then there should be details of the agreement, like how the details about the transaction and the consideration. When we say consideration, it is like the money for the seller, it will be in the form of a money, and for the buyer, it will be in the form of some work or service. And it should have the offer, acceptance, and mutual assent. It should be between competent parties and in correct form. So when we say competent parties means like they should have the authority to enter into a contract, and they should be mentally sound, and they should be competent enough to enter into a contract. And it should not violate a public or statutes. As I told you earlier, there are laws from the government related to constitutional or regulatory. So it should not violate any of such laws. Violation of any of the essential features would make the contract defective, thus stated to be null and void. So if any of such violation happens, the contract will be null and void, and it will not be enforced by the law of that government, law of that country. There are some mistakes which does not make the contract defective, like in human errors. It can be in the quantity, unit rate, or value included in the contract. Mistakes due to terms or conditions included in the contract. Usually a contract is said to be executed when all the parties to the contract have fully performed their contractual duties and obligations agreed under the contract. So a contract is normally said to be fully executed or closed when there is a list of obligation from either parties, and when that obligation is fulfilled, like the obligation from the seller side will be to provide the service to do the work, and from the buyer perspective it will be to make the payment, return back the guarantee, cancel the insurance or something like that. When all the obligations are over and the services have been fulfilled, then the contract is said to be closed. Death of the offeree is rendered offer is invalid. Also, the death of the offerer terminated the offer. Like in case of any situation like that, the death of the offeree or the death of the offerer, there can be termination of the contract. There are some contract terminologies. Conflict of interest. Conflict of interest occurs when any party or an individual is involved in multiple obligations or interests while fulfilling one of which could possibly corrupt the compliance or motivation of an act in the other. So it's like, suppose like there is two parties who are entering into a contract, and one party is already having some interest in the other party. Maybe, there may be a share of the person who is doing the contracting in the other party. And if he's awarding that contract to the other party, then it becomes a conflict of interest, because that the person or the committee who is awarding the contract is already having some shares in the other party who is getting the project. So it's like, favoring that other party. So then it becomes a conflict of interest. Then it's about the ethics. It's moral philosophy, which answers questions related to morality like good and evil, right and wrong, virtue and vice, justice and crime. It relates to moral actions, conduct motive, which is professionally right or benefiting and conforming to professional standards of conduct. So ethical practices like slavery in the contract, you should not include labor hours for 20 hours or something like that, which will cause ethical questions as to how you can employ a labor as a slave. Then it becomes like a slavery. So that kind of ethical questions can come. Then is a fraud. Fraud is a crime, and also civil law violation, which is an international deception made for personal gain or to damage, deprive another individual. Hoax is also a deception without any intention. So fraud is something like any person wants to gain advantage in some way, like he may give duplicate bill, or he may try to forge some certificate to show that the project is completed, like that. So this kind of frauds can occur, and this will terminate the contract. So these are some contracts categories. There is construction contract, service provider contract, partnership contract, franchise contract, JV contract, employment contract, sales and service contract, supply manufacturing contract, lease or rental contract, non-disclosure or confidentiality contract. So these are some common types of contract, depending on the type of work to be undertaken and depending on kind of the parties involved. Key aspects. Successful contract management covers the period from the beginning of a procurement until after a contract ends. The receipts of the goods and services at the right price, quality, on time, as well as proper compensation of the contractor is the goal of a successful procurement. So Successful contract management has to ensure that the goods is purchased at the right price, right quality, and on time. These things will always be mentioned in the contract, and the work which is done or the goods being supplied has to fully comply with whatever is mentioned in the contract document. And at the same time, the contractor should get his compensation as per whatever the payment schedule is mentioned. That is the main goal of a successful procurement. However, poor contract management often results in the end user frustration, reluctance to use new vendors, agency acceptance of poor quality service or goods, increased cost due to lack of quality or overpayment to the contractors, lack of contractors accountability, and generally poor contractor performance. So in case of poor contract management, there is a lot of issues as mentioned here, where there is a reluctance to use new vendors. So there is very less chance of innovations. Then poor quality material use, which can, increase the overall cost of the project or can cause issues in the future. Increased cost due to lack of quality or overpayment to contractors. There can be overpayments and the financial issues, unnecessary wastage of time can happen. A good contract is a means to an end. Simply enforcing the contract, however, does not necessarily result in a successful relationship with the contractor. Success should instead be measured by effectiveness of the program that the contract supports. So basically, the contract should meet the purpose of the end user who's going to use the goods or the service. It should, fully meet the needs of the end user. Then the contract is considered to be successful. Yeah. It doesn't. A good contract is. It doesn't. It means like, it's not like something you just finish it. Okay. It should be. It should meet the needs of the end user's expectation, and it should not be just like the terms and condition and the contractor fulfilling that terms and condition. There should be continuous communication with the contractor and the end user, so it is on the track of what the end user really needs and whether that contract is fulfilling that thing. If that is not happening, some improvements can be made, some variations can be made. So let's see the contract management. The management in simple word is art of getting things done. There are various types of management. The management process includes initiation, planning, scheduling, monitoring, controlling, and closing. So it's like initiation. It's defining the objective, why you need it, what is the purpose, what you are going to achieve. Then planning it, to plan what resources you will need, how much budget you are going to need. Then scheduling, like how much time frame you have to complete it, how you are going to schedule it. Then we have to monitor it when the project actually starts. You have to see the performance, whether it's complying to your schedule, whether it's within the deadline. And controlling it, that means if anything is if there is a variation in what has been scheduled, then to control that, maybe it's in terms of budget or in terms of time, and accordingly closing it successfully. Contract management includes all the process related to identification of the objectives, needs, or wants of one party, and managing a contract to deliver the objective, setting deadlines, and adhering to the agreed contract terms and conditions, thus resulting in the contract execution while ensuring customer satisfaction. So it's like a overall project wherein identification of needs of each party, and it ensures that all the objectives are met within the deadline. Contract management is vocation within the business profession, which has a very broad perspective in terms of the responsibilities. The job scope of contract manager ranges from the administrative skills of managing, organizing, planning to challenges of negotiating a major contract. So it depends various scope of contract manager, whether it can be administrative skills to managing, organizing, and planning to challenges of negotiating a major contract, wherein there may be many variables. He has to negotiate those variables to get the work done. Contract management demand competence in such areas as contract law, administration, psychology, management, and planning. These are some key skills which the contract management demands, and these key skills helps in a successful contract completion. Hereby, the skilled individuals enables organization to improve the buyer-seller relationships. Roles and responsibilities of a contract professional. Serves as a primary point of contract concerning contractual matters. Plans, directs, coordinates, and manages the various contracting functions, including creating, administering, modifying, closing out, and terminating the contracts. So these are some of the activities being undertaken by the contract professionals. Actively collaborates with the project officer to monitor and manage the contract performance, quality, and compliance with the contract's conditions. Take appropriate actions and applies remedies to protect the rights of the owner. Allocates and monitors funds for various contracts, monitor performance and compliance of contractual terms and conditions. So basically, the contract professional, he communicate with various stakeholders like the project officer and maybe the finance and other team to ensure that the planning and execution is done according to the objective of the end users. Contract manager competencies. A successful contract manager should possess additional hard and soft skills to ensure managerial effectiveness. Technical skill. So technical skills are demonstrated. So when we say hard and soft skills, hard skills can be analytical skills, mathematical skills. Soft skills can be negotiation skills or how to talk, how to communicate. Then comes the technical skills. Technical skills are demonstrated by competently performing the tasks such as preparing bids, analyzing terms and conditions, analyzing supplier capabilities. A manager level of technical knowledge would influence the ability to manage the subordinates. So the managerial level technical skill should be to understand the impact of what are the terms and conditions and how they are going to impact the contract and what changes can be brought in that terms and condition. Also, they have to check what are the suppliers in the market, their capabilities, and how to check their capabilities, like their financial capability, or maybe their capability to deliver the project, the technical capability. So all these things he should be able to analyze. And based on his successful technical skills, he will be more easily able to manage his subordinates. Time management skill. Stitch in time 9, the ability to structure the time in hierarchical manner to manage the time effectively is a very important skill. To plan, organize, and execute the expenditure of time, including the plan modification. Very important to know what to do when. So time management is very critical because time is money. So any delay in the scheduling, in the project completion can cause a lot of cost implication in terms of changing the contract and changing the budget, and there will be a lot of chaos if the time management skill is not executed properly. Human relation skill. The skill focuses on human aspect as many contract managers consider human relation to be the most important skill for future of their jobs and careers. Deals with the ability to work with a variety of individuals with differing background. As I told you, like the project, the contract manager will be dealing with multiple stakeholders. They will be finance, end users, technical person, and also the external stakeholders. So they should be very well skilled in managing the relationship. They should know which stakeholder has what kind of power and how it can influence, who is the critical stakeholder, and which stakeholder should be continuously updated, which stakeholder should be like just given little information, which stakeholder should be given more information. So this way that relationship has to be maintained by the contract manager. So he should segregate the kind of relation he should have with various types of stakeholders. Communication skills should be capable of understanding and interpreting the contract and its conditions. Evaluate, respond to claims, avoid, minimize claims on the contract, and in the event of claims, arrive at the best settlement. Ability to speak, listen, write, and conduct meetings. So this is definitely a very important skill which is asked for. It has to be all the terms and condition has to be properly interpreted. Any wrong interpretation can cause a lot of wastage in terms of time, or it can also cause a bad relationship. Technology skills. Technology is ever changing. A successful manager should be updated with the latest development and technological advancement, should remain updated with the changes to take up fresh challenges and thus remain in the profession. So it's like, for example, there may be a ERP system like Oracle or SAP in the organization, and maybe there is some updation in the technology, or there may be some other software which is being used. There is an update in the technology. So the contract manager should be very well aware about what the current technology is going on in the market. Contract life cycle. So there is definitely a life cycle of a contract, starting from having an objective till the contract is closed. So let's see some key aspects. All contracts have definite beginning and end. The phases during the contract life cycle are following. Acquisition planning. Critical first step and includes market research, selecting the proper contract type, and formulating the contract strategy. So initially, when you define the objective, when you get any when there is a requirement, the most critical step is to have a market research as to see how the market is currently in. So it may be like some products may be at the end of the life cycle, or the material cost maybe at this time may be very high, and maybe as a contract manager, you know that after some time the prices are going to go down. So all this market research you have to make it before you actually start executing the contract. You should also finalize the contract type, what kind of contract you are going to do, fixed price or cost plus contract. So there are various types of contract. So what kind of contract you are going to use, that you have to finalize, and formulating the contract strategies, as into how the deliveries will take place and what kind of payment schedule you will include and other such things. So as you know, in the contract cycle, there is a pre-award stage, then there is a contract award stage, and then there is a post-award stage. So in the pre-award stage, when there is no supplier is finalized, there may be 2, 3, or maybe more suppliers who are bidding for the tender. It includes preparing requirements, evaluating proposals, conducting negotiations, and completing source selection. So it's like first finding the potential suppliers, getting information from them, asking them to bid, floating the tender, and then maybe you do some negotiation with some of the best bids. And finally, after all the thorough process, you select a source. That is a pre-award stage. After the source or the supplier is selected, then is the contract award, wherein the contract is awarded, and like whoever the supplier is selected, you provide them the awarding letter, like this contract has been awarded to you, and all the unsuccessful vendors has to be addressed. It's not like you avoid them. If any vendor has got the contract, you should and the, if so, for example, there are 4 bids, the 3 unsuccessful bids, you should inform them that you have not won the contract because of so and so reasons. Because in case if you avoid them in future, they may not be really interested to bid for your any other new contract. Then the post-award contract. Here is the actual stage where you draft a contract. Once the awarding has been done, then all the contract administration activities like executing contract modification, addressing issues arising during the contract performance, invoicing, payment, and closing out the contract. So it's like after awarding the contract, you will ask for the draft of contract. There will be review of that draft of contract, and then there will be signing of the contract. Once the contract is signed, then the actual execution will take place. The deliveries will start doing. Then the payment will start happen, and there may be some bonds, performance bond or insurance certificate which you will ask. So all those process after awarding takes place in the post award stage. That will be mentioned in the terms and condition. You mean to say after awarding? Yeah. See, after awarding, there will be, signing of the contract. Before signing, you can cancel it. Once the contract is signed by both the parties, and there actually, in the contract, there will be a term that when the contract is effective, it will be effective after signing. It will be, or it will be effective after signing plus submitting the performance. So once that effective date has happened, for example, both of us are 2 parties. Other condition, performance bond. So the contract bond, that means the contract is now. So now if I have to cancel, to be a proper reason, and that cancellation will be included in the terms and condition of the contract. It's called the termination of the contract. As to how it will be terminated, I have to give a notice, and some conditions will be there. So according to that can be terminated. But if it is not signed, like it is, I told you that I have awarded you the contract and it is in the signing stage, but I changed my mind or something happened, then I can say that we have to hold this signing for now. We can terminate that. But after signing, after effective date happens, then it will be, you have to go as per the law, what is the clause mentioned inside the contract. So contract stakeholders, these are all the parties involved in the contract, which has direct or indirect stakeholders on their side. It is necessary to identify them, to evaluate them, and monitor the impact of execution of contract to each of the stakeholders. So it's like we have to understand the power and the interest of the stakeholder. There are 2 aspects of stakeholder. Suppose there is a project manager or project director. He will have more power as well as more interest. However, if there is a government like organization or regulatory body, he will have more power but less interest in your this. So you have to understand that balance of power and interest of all the stakeholders, and accordingly you have to decide with whom you have to make good relation with, and managing the relation. The initiating organization has stakeholders like end user design team, program office, finance office, contracting officer. So these are all the stakeholders who are involved or who can impact the contract management. The organization receiving the contract has stakeholders like subcontractors, suppliers, insurers, creditors, etc. So this is the supplier, the organization receiving the contract. So suppose the supplier is doing some big project, he will have some subcontractors. So that will be his supplier. There will be some suppliers which from whom he must be taking the the materials to complete the project. That will be his stakeholders, the insurers, the creditors. This will be the stakeholder for the supplier, the organization receiving the contract. Okay, so these are some ways of these are the cycle of the contract management. One is the cost appraisal. So this is the client or the consultant contract management. The cost appraisal is like you know the what kind of project you are going to do, and you try to estimate the total cost of the project. The cost plan is also very similar. Only thing is the cost plan is you will involve more technical persons like quantity surveyors and the design team. So it's like, for example, the cost appraisal will give you approximate 60-70% accuracy. The cost plan will give you more accuracy as to the what will be the project cost. Then you have to estimate the tender estimate. It's whatever will be the approximate project cost plus what the supplier will add the margin to it, the profit and plus some other taxes, and all together you have to estimate what will be the approximate tender estimate. Then will be the tender strategy as to how you are going to do, whether you are going to do open tender or whether you are going to do closed tender, whether you are going to, go for 2-3 selected suppliers. Then we have pre-qualification. Pre-qualification as in like there is a new suppliers, so you get from them all the details like their financial statement, their company licenses, and their capacity, all the details of the company. You send them questions or you ask them in a separate sheet. So the supplier who is supplying should be competent enough. Otherwise, it may happen that you give the contract and later on the supplier will go bankrupt. He doesn't have money. Then what we'll do? So in that case will be a big problem. So all these things has to be checked in qualification. Then tender flow. You float the tender with the requirements. These are the requirements. This is the deadline and other specification. Then there will be bidding. After the bidding, there will be negotiation, and the negotiation with maybe one supplier or maybe two supplier whose bids are very close. So you'll negotiate to get the best value for the money. Then recommendation for the award. So finally, after negotiating and checking all the bids received, which supplier has to be selected for awarding can be recommended. Then there will be notice to proceed. So to proceed with any one supplier to award them, there will be a notice that you can proceed with this particular supplier for the contract. Formation of contract document. Formation of contract document is basically draft of contract, like wherein you mentioned the terms and conditions, the specification, payment schedule. So that draft of documents, you may have a template, like you can take the FIDIC template, create your own template, then you send it to the supplier may do some his own modification, then you again review it. So that draft of contract is the contract document. Review of legal documents like bond and insurances. You may ask for some performance bond or advance bank guarantee bond, like if there is an advance payment in the contract, because this is a huge project and the advance payment will be a big amount, you cannot just pay them directly. You will ask them to give advance bank guarantee. You will ask for performance bank guarantee of say 10% of the contract value or 20% of the contract value. And the insurances, because there is a lot of, because the deadline is big, there are a lot of risk involved. So these bonds and insurances you may ask from the supplier. Prelims distribution and certification strategy, like how the goods are going to be received, where it's going to be received, and after receiving, who is going to certify the goods received? Is it the end user or the accounts? And then the bill certification, like for each and every delivery, the supplier will submit the bill. So who is going to do the certification? How the certification is going to happen? Change control, like as you know, when the project starts, there may be changes. So how you are going to control that change is in the change control. Variation orders is related to change control, like if there is any variation, how you are going to manage, whether you're going to do an amendment or whether you're going to send a separate variation orders. Determination, interpretation dispute, issuing of taking over certificate. This is like a completion certificate, like any, suppose there are milestones, milestone 1, milestone 2. Milestone 1 may be like the preparation of the base of a building. So that milestone is finished. The end user will issue a completion certificate that yes, this one milestone is completed. It is called the issuing of taking over certificate. Review of closeout report. So once all the goods and services have been provided, all the obligation is fulfilled, the payment has been provided to the contractor, and all the insurances, bonds have been returned back, and there is the warranties have been taking completed, then the contract will close, and that review of the closeout report has to be done. And is the performance certificate. Performance certificate as to how the services or the goods which has been supplied, how it's performed. It can be done using different types of ways, like key performance indicators. And this way, the performance certificate can be issued. So these are the same points which we discussed. Okay. This is contractors, contract management. So this is like the seller's contract management way. He will set up billing procedure as to when he is going to send the bill, and what will be the credit terms, or how the remittance is going to take place. That will be mentioned in the billing procedure. Then we will have payment application, certification, notice for claim, if there is any claim which the contractor needs from the buyer, he will provide the notice. Preparation of cost estimate, proposal for variation and additional work. So this will be like in case of something which is there is some variation in the scope of work, and it is affecting the cost of the project, then the cost estimate or proposal for variation will be provided by the contractor to the buyer. Extension of time, prolongation cost. Sometimes some unforeseen circumstance may come which can cause delays in doing the work or providing the goods or providing the service. And suppose the deadline is about to be over, like the contract is going to end, but the work will not be complete. Then the contractor will ask for extension of the time to finish the obligation. Monthly financial update. request for taking over certificate. It's like when completing the work, the contractor will ask the end user to provide the taking over certificate, and which means that the completion certificate, that the work or the service has been completed. The final bill, which is the invoices, defect liability, retention release, 50%. Yeah, there may be some retention amount during the initial starting phase, which is been taken by the, to ensure kind of a performance bond. So that release, like once the work has been completed, to release the performance, that okay, we have completed work, so please release our performance bond. So that kind of retention release can be requested. Request for performance certificate. They may request a performance certificate to see how the work and so this is the cycle of the contract management: identifying need for the goods, service, or work, and developing the procurement plan. Then identifying available funds, the budgets, prepare clear and accurate specification. What kind of specification has to be prepared, whether it is conformance or performance specification. Commit funds, raise CPV, organize treasury approval and funds commitment. Then document, publish contract, evaluate bid and award contract, manage the contract, receive, monitor, and quality review, update. So this is the complete contract.
Sir, excuse me, sir. Your
Yeah.
voice is breaking, sir.
Hello.
Your
Can you hear?
voice breaking. Yeah, sometime it is break. I mean, now it's clear.
Okay. It's
Yeah.
breaking, huh? Yeah, okay, let me know if it breaks again.
Yeah,
You heard this cycle?
Yeah, cycle I heard.
Yeah, okay. 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 I will try to be talk little slowly then.
Please, sir. Okay. Thank you.
5 key inputs to proactive contract management. Contract terms and conditions. These are normally the general terms and conditions as to how to manage the risk. The risk from both the sides, the liabilities from both the sides. Contract specifications, the kind of performance needed, kind of outcome or output which is needed will be in the contract specifications. Human resources, contract management, team skills, as whatever the skills we mentioned in the previous slides, that is the key inputs. Documented processes, how we manage service delivery and contractual performance. So it's like after awarding the contract and when the deliveries and the contract starts, how we monitor the contract and how we measure them. Maybe we rank them, we give them scores for their delivery, give them scores for their quality, we give them percent, then we give them overall percentage, how you perform. So this kind of contractual performance can be documented so that in future it can be used, or it can also be used as a reference for by other for the new contract. Relationships and communication. As I told you, how important it is to manage the relationships. Who is having more power? Yes. So if person is having more interest, they have to be managed. Okay, so Let's start with FIDIC and its background. So FIDIC is basically, I will tell the full form. Okay. It's a French terminology, Fédération Internationale des Ingénieurs Conseillers, which basically means International Federation of Consulting Engineers. It was established in Switzerland in 1913, Geneva. First contract is printed in 1957. FIDIC represents engineers and consultants from various countries, European associations from 100+ countries are FIDIC members. So what are the general conditions of FIDIC? It covers all the major issues that need to be addressed under a contract, have a consistent and easy to follow structure, distribute the risk fairly among the parties, designed by a third party consultant, but not an employer. Therefore, conditions are more objective and fair. So basically, the FIDIC is providing a template of a contract for various types of works. It can be between contractor and subcontractor, or there are depend by the buyer, or whether the specification by the supplier, and such. Depending on all such scenarios, there are various types of FIDIC template contract. FIDIC has committees formed of international members to improve its publication. Committees do continuous monitoring to improve and revise existing publications and to introduce new books. When you say new books, it's the different types of, depending on the kind of work being executed. Very well known by international contractors and consultants, therefore creates confidence and encourages tenderers. Because a lot of risk involved in a project, lot of tables which are not, which has not needs in long duration.
Excuse me, sir. Again,
Yeah.
your voice break.
The sound is clear?
Yes, sir.
Can you repeat again, sir, that statement, that clause again?
Sorry? I can start?
Yeah, please.
So it gives more confidence, and it gives more risk-free way of executing a contract, especially in a very complex project scenario, wherein there are variables and a lot of inputs involved. Okay, here are some examples of the FIDIC book. Right now, I would just suggest, like, we will go into more details. These are some examples of the FIDIC template. Okay. The white book, the terms of the client consultant model services agreement have been prepared by FIDIC and recommended for general use for the purpose of pre-investment and feasibility studies, design and administration of construction, project management, where proposals for such services are invited on national basis. They are equally adaptable for domestic agreements. So this is more recommended for international, like foreign, foreign contractors, when there is a international transaction going to happen, but they can be equally adaptable for domestic agreement. The new red book. Condition of contract for construction, which are recommended for building or engineering works designed by employer or by his representative, the engineer. This is more recommended when the specification is or the design has been fully developed by the employer, and there is very less involvement of the contractor in the design or the specification development. Under the usual arrangement for this type of contract, the contractor constructs the work in accordance with the design provided by the employer. However, the works may include some elements of contractor design, civil, mechanical, electrical, or construction works. So, most of the specifications and the design inputs are from the engineers, technical teams of the employer, and some inputs are there from contractor side to improve the specification. The MDB harmonized conditions of contract for construction are recommended for building or engineering works designed by employer or by his representative, the engineer. For license for project finance multilateral development banks. Under the usual arrangement for this type of contract, the contractor constructs the works in accordance with the design provided by the employer. Here also, the design is mostly provided by the employer. However, the works may include some elements of contractor design, civil, mechanical, and construction works. So, most of the input is from the employer side. The new yellow book.
Sir, excuse me.
Yeah.
Sir, can we define what is MDB contract? MDB, yes, MDB harmonial conditions.
Yeah, this multilateral development banks. This like the projects which are financed by multilateral development banks.
Okay.
So the financing is not just by the company itself.
Okay. Okay. Done. Thank you.
The new yellow book. The conditions of contract for plant and design build, which are recommended for provision of electrical or mechanical plant and for design and execution of building or engineering works. This plant can be cable manufacturing plant or FMCG plant. So this is provision of the electrical or mechanical plant and for building and engineering works, because when it comes to the plant, there will be civil work as well as there will be electrical work and the mechanical work till the plant is fully established. Under the usual arrangement contract, employers require the works which may include civil, electrical, or construction works. So here the contractor has more inputs wherein he provides he does the designing and the specification work for all the work related to civil, maybe construction of the building or the shop floor, plant, mechanical, making the site construction, electrical for all the various types of stations, plant, and all such work is mostly been done by the contractor. The new silver book. Condition of contract for EPC turnkey projects. This template is mostly used for EPC turnkey projects, which are recommended where one entity takes total responsibility for design and execution of engineering. Under the usual arrangement for this type of contract, it carries out all the engineering, procurement, and construction ready for operation. So here the entity takes complete responsibility to do the engineering, procurement, and construction. It can be, for example, making an airport, wherein the party will do the complete work, and it will be directly operational, and there will be very minimal technical specification input from the employer. So it can be, for example, an in
Sir, we cannot hear you, sir.
hello, can you hear?
No. It's okay now.
Hello?
Can you repeat again?
So this turnkey project is basically within complete setup done in entity, and the project is ready to start giving the output. It can be, for example, a plant wherein all the machine setup, electrical work, mechanical fully done, and the plant will be ready to start the production, ready to start the manufacturing. So such kind of turnkey contract comes under this new silver book. The new green book. This condition of contract are recommended.
Sir, we cannot.
Hello, can you hear?
Excuse me, sir. There is an issue with the sound. We cannot hear you. It's breaking a lot.
Is breaking out. Hello.
Yes,
Still.
yes, sir.
Just 1 minute. Let me call someone. Is yeah. Okay. Okay. And meanwhile, we can take a break of 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes. Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. We'll take a short break, 10 to 15 minutes. Until that time, we'll see about the sound also, whether what's the problem. Is that fine?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Okay, sir. Okay.
Yeah. This one? Okay. Hello. Hello, guys.
Yes, sir.
You can hear?
I can hear you now.
It's
But sometimes it's cutting out.
the sound is breaking.
Yeah, some
Uh-huh.
Yes, breaking again.
Okay. Okay, let's see when we start again. Okay. Now it's clear, right?
Now it's clear.
it's breaking.
It's breaking
It's,
again.
it's breaking again.
It's breaking again, huh?
Yes, I couldn't hear my colleague.
I believe it is a problem of microphone.
This device is not connecting. This one? Pen drive? Yeah. The presentation in that, right? So we'll go to other classroom.